Flow. That dude had every single car that was ever made riding. He rode low though. Now I tell you that he rode low, but as far as like the flash, he had the flash. He just wasn't loud. And as far as Fritz is concerned, he was just not flashy at all. Like he didn't, because you got to realize it may be hard to believe. As much money as he had and was making, he didn't care about it.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. I mean, you could even look at the cover of the book. I mean, even when I just click the link on the top and look at the cover of the book, I mean, to the average person, he looks like the average person. Like he don't look like nobody that would have been plugged in to anybody to our standards on what we thought was plugged in, like the flashy looking. You know what I
I
mean? Back then,
guess
he
my
don't even
point
look
was
like
like
that.
basically like
Yeah.
if niggas want to make sure you know.
I just want to ask Harlem Holiday one more question.
I'm here.
Wack 100
So
in the
so
building.
so I know you said Fritz was connected with the Italians, and I know how the Italians feel about black people. I was just trying to figure out how did that situation happen.
Well, it happened through. See, this is what's really interesting. Anybody on this platform, are you familiar with the French Connection or that
Definitely,
big?
yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you are very familiar with that situation at One Police Plaza when all those drugs were stolen
Yeah.
out of
They
the
was cutting,
precinct.
and they was cutting and selling it back to the streets.
Exactly. His story is connected to that. That's all I'm going to say. I can't give up too much, but his story is connected to that through Queen B.
Oh wow, wow.
That's how deep his story goes. That's what I'm saying. This is not the average hood story. His story goes very deep. And that's the Lucchese crime family, which were the top five the crime family. But his story goes very deep and is connected to that.
Can I ask a question? You watched
Sure.
the show with Bumpy Johnson, um, on that show they talk about the French Connection and all that, and I think it was the same kind of family. Is it the same thing?
Of
It's
course.
the same exact thing. Yeah, it's the
Yep.
same exact thing, little bro.
On that
Yep,
show they talk about, yeah.
yep.
Okay.
Fritz was connected through that through Queen B. Queen B, Queen B is larger than life. She has a story within herself. Queen B was the first Queen B in United States as far as a black woman is concerned. And Queen B brought the heroin into Harlem through the Lucchese crime family. So this story runs deep, and I talk about it in the book.
Is that the Queen Bee? Is that the lady from the
That's
movie
Queen. That they
Hoodlum?
call
That's the
Queen. Yeah.
Yeah,
from
I
the
gotta
movie
watch that
Hoodlum, right?
show.
That's Queen.
Yeah, 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 yeah. They called her something different in the Hoodlum movie, but that you talking about that? Yeah,
They
her.
called her Queen. They just called her
Right.
Queen.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. Right. Right.
But
Yeah,
her story
because
runs
you
deep.
we don't like you don't realize. I mean, like the Colombians and like just meant like no none of them like before they even came about. The only heroin that was coming in was coming through the French Connection and through the and through
Exactly.
that and through that.
Exactly.
That was the only
Exactly.
heroin that was coming inside. So if you was linked to that, then you was connected.
Fritz was very connected.
Very.
Probably the only other black was Pee Wee Matthews that was
But
fucking with the
Uh,
French Connection too.
is it safe to say Bumpy Johnson was the first to bring the French Connection to Harlem?
yeah, actually, I know the lady that wrote that book, but that's another story. Interesting story as well.
Well,
So
Bumpy was connected to the Queen, though, right?
yes, I'm 100,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
100%,
yeah. So then, yeah, yep, yep.
Right, right.
100%.
Feel like even when I talk, yeah, like drink stuff. I drink.
But he was very connected. And then when I say y'all gotta read the book, like I said, I don't want to tell too much, but I can't wait till the movie happens. But Queen B, Fritz wind up eventually leaving Queen B because she started getting high on her own supply. And another thing about Queen B, which Fritz didn't know at that time, she was a government informant.
What
So
was
when I
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, man.
No
What
No,
way.
was Fritz much older than
No.
I guess I assume he was much older than Alpo and Rich and those guys, right?
That
In
of
age
sound
range.
course.
like
Yeah, hell
Yes,
yeah.
that
of
sound like
Yeah.
course.
some BMF shit going on. Tammy Cow.
When Fritz, I mean, Fritz, excuse me, when Poe, A, and Rich was getting money, you got to realize they're larger than life, but they were 16, 17, 18 years old. Now think about that.
And how old was Fritz at that time? I'm saying when they was like 19, 20. How old was he?
Probably like 27, 28, 30, something like that.
When Fritz passed,
Yeah, like how old was he? Like when those
Fritz was in
guys
his
was.
30s. He was in his
Yeah.
30s when he passed, but Fritz was in the game. It, Sheila, Sheila could probably tell you that, but Fritz was in the game probably in his teens because he had connected with in the 70s. Was it 77, 76? He had connected with Queen B, who had moved into 112th Street. The feds actually, Queen B, I don't know, I don't know if it's necessary, the witness protection program, what they called it back in, but Queen B was relocated to 112th Street
Right, he
after she had testified against the mob.
right on the corner.
Yeah, yeah. He was a he. I mean, just by me just hearing all this information, it just know that he was a special dude, right? Because they wasn't even, excuse my French, there was no pun intended. They wasn't even fucking with too many people like that. So for them to like fuck with him like that, like it goes without saying that this guy was a special dude, and for him to not fuck it up and to really like make a good run and not end up missing somewhere because he messed up their bread or messed up that connection, just show you what type of special dude he was. Because a lot of dudes couldn't even sustain that type of plug.
So,
Like people, I don't think people realize that. You know what I mean? Like how difficult and how witty and smart and brilliant you got to be to even have that plug and parlay that into the bread. You know what I mean? Like
so,
that shit ain't
so
easy.
can I ask a question? Like, so if he didn't spend his money like on shining or nothing like that, what did he use his money for? Like, where's his money at then? Like, what did he
Hey,
use his
bro.
money
Hey,
for?
That nigga
bro,
took care of
listen.
the whole
Stolen. It was
downtown, the whole Harlem.
stolen. It was stolen.
Hey,
Yeah, and they stole the rest.
hey, bro, listen. Back
Fritz
then,
took, I'm
niggas'
sorry,
minds wasn't leaving right there. They minds wasn't leaving right there. They wanted to take care right there. They mind wasn't to get up and vacate. It was to make that better around them. You know what I'm saying? So,
Fritz
and once they went,
Fritz had Fritz had millions. Anybody that knows the story of Fritz, he was getting 500 keys or more a month.
damn,
Fritz had millions. Fritz was taking care of everybody. He
Jeez.
had plenty money. He had plenty
Jeez.
money saved. When at the towards his end, Fritz had given keys to various people and asked them to take care of business for him. And he had trusted that they would take care of business for him. And what they were supposed to do while Fritz was he was sick. So what they were supposed to do is make sure that the keys that he had given them to all the stash houses where this money was, that those keys were returned back to his family. And those keys never came back.
Is it true that
Wow.
Freeway Ricky Ross came to the book signing?
He sure
Yeah.
was there, and we
The
have pictures with him. He sure was. He sure was there. He came. He showed us love.
much love.
Um, he showed us a whole lot of love. And Kevin Childs, who's a very close friend of mine, he also came out and showed us a lot of love. So yes, when we had our little signing, when we had first released the book, they both came out and showed us a lot of love. They sure did.
I just
Yeah, I
got
don't.
one thing. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was going to. I guess I had one thing too. I know I probably wasn't in the room, and maybe this probably was spoke about, but I know there's probably stuff that y'all don't like to speak about, but just like how he passed, like because I know there was a lot of other stuff said about poisoning and all kind of stuff like that.
Well, let's make this clear. And I'm glad that question was mentioned. A, a, a lot of people, but the rumor is that Fritz passed from AIDS. It's not true. And if you can show me a death certificate that says that, then you show me that. So the people that are going around spreading rumors, talking about that this man tarnishing his legacy and talk about this man died of AIDS, they're a liar. Now, when somebody come to you and they say that, show me a death certificate that states that. Now, I wrote the book and I spoke to his family. And according to the family, Fritz was poisoned. And that's what the doctor said. There was something, and it was so strange. And I want everybody to understand this. Fritz had three people, in 91 is when Fritz passed. But a lot happened in 91. I said it was a conspiracy and there was something more to the whole ending of this era. Because Fritz was the end of the era. When it was Fritz, Chucky, and Ace. They were three peas in a pod, okay? Ace wound up going to jail in I think it was February or March and spent 26 years of his life for murder he didn't do. They picked him up and told him that he had supposedly had killed the cab driver. Now we talk about a man making millions. We talk about a man making millions. Why would he have to kill a cab driver? But he did 26 years of life and was deported when he came out of jail. But we're still fighting. He's still fighting for his freedom to come back to New York. 3 months after that, Chucky, who was his enforcer, goes up to the Bronx to see his family, his children, and Chucky was murdered. 3 months after that, Fritz passed. So I call it a conspiracy. What do you call it? But it was the end of an era.
That sounded like they was trying to clean up the loose ends.
And that's personally what I feel. And if you get the book and read it, you will understand the conspiracy. You will understand more about this man and his life. But I also want people to understand the movie. Of course, it's a movie, but the movie is a little different from the book because the movie is based more on Fritz, whereas the book is based on his family. But the movie is totally based on Fritz. But definitely get the book and read it because there's so much information that I can't even tell you all of it. But there's so much information about Fritz, a lot of things that don't turn on light bulbs in your head that you didn't know. His connection to various people and certain things.
Hey,
I just
I just want to give y'all ladies a super salute. A lot of times, people or the media spend so much time dehumanizing some of these individuals by focusing on the more aggressive things that they might have done, but they don't really talk about the fact that they were feeding whole hoods, they was feeding whole communities, and it was actually showing children not to go in the route that they were going by showing them a better life as well. So salute to both of y'all for even coming on here and sharing that story with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
uh, hey Tiffany, I just want to say one more thing. I just want you to explain to the people the difference between the east side of Harlem and the west side of Harlem, and the Italians was definitely in the east side of Harlem.
That's a fact. That's a fact. I mean, it's so much history. What people also don't know that Harlem was really the Hamptons of New York. This is where when Harlem, when you had all the entertainment and everything going on in Harlem, Harlem was really it was really white folks Hamptons. That's what it was. And then black folks started migrating um here, and then the Italians, they started migrating and they took up all of the east side. But and then when things started changing, when black folks started uniting, and the gambling and the numbers and everything started coming into play, then that started changing the dynamics. And then that's when you talk about the Bumpy Johnson and the
And
Madam
what
St.
year is
Clair.
this? What year is this when it starts changing? What year is this?
We're talking about the 30s. The
Okay,
30s.
okay. I just wanted to put it in context. Okay, okay.
No, we're talking about the 30s. That's when everything started changing. That's when everything started changing. We're talking about the 30s. But it's all in the book, y'all. It's all in the book. It's all in the book. When I say the history is so much history as far as Harlem is concerned, and people think that black folks was always here. No, it used to be all white folks.
Is that the
And
book and the link right up there at the top?
yes,
Oh, okay,
yes.
okay. Thank you,
Yeah,
thank
yeah.
you.
I'm gonna go on Amazon right now and get that junk.
Hey,
Absolutely.
yo,
And
I
people,
already ordered the audiobook. I just got it like a couple minutes ago.
and what people don't understand, let me give you a little tip. What people don't understand, because some people that read the book, oh, you talk so much about Sheila, but Sheila's the one who told the story. You know, I interviewed a lot of his other friends, but Sheila is the one that told the story. So we talk a lot about Sheila. And like I said, we wanted to make sure that this book was about family.
All right.
And when I tell you, when you read it, you're going to enjoy it, but it's definitely about family. Actually, before we I'm going to bear with me one
All
second.
right. While you do that, CEO, do your thing.
Hey, welcome to Eastern District. If you're new to the room, welcome. If you are on stage or in the audience, make sure that you go up top, hit the greenhouse, join the club, follow the moderators. You see the title, Hell Up in Harlem, Fritz, Consignment King, Family Speaks Out. We done heard about the book. We had Miss T in the building. A couple things got addressed. Moving forward, they are on a positive note. They definitely want to tell Fritz's story the right way. It's not all about the street stuff that you may hear. He was a man at the end of the day, and he was loved by many. Salute to the family that came. Support.
He was a man of integrity. But I'm going to give you a little bit of the audio. I'm going to play it for you. Here it goes. 1980s, Chapter 12, Rise of the King of Kingpins. The road to recovery was tough for Fritz. Lying around not making money added to his frustration. Since he was unable to do much else, Fritz became an avid news watcher. The wheels started spinning in his head when he saw a news report about the crack epidemic. He listened intently to news about the Colombian cartel war to control various territories in major U.S. cities, including New York, Miami, San Francisco, Houston, and Chicago. Before getting shot, Fritz had established a relationship with an associate of the Medellin cartel, and now he looked forward to rekindling it when he got back to Harlem. Fritz returned to 112th Street 2 years later, strong mentally and physically. He was focused on exacting revenge on Dope Man, who ordered his head, and the man who carried it out. No one thought it was a coincidence that the people involved were systematically killed. Very few people ever knew the truth, and criminal investigations proved too little to press charges. Prior to any of that, Fritz was determined to pick up where he left off in the drug game. But now he needed to gather trusted soldiers and generate extra capital after being away for so long. Fritz had left a bit of money in his personal stash, a secret safe in his apartment at 109. Fritz set about playing numbers and frequenting the crap tables at Joe Grant, the S&S, and the Zodiac. Fritz normally saved the money he made hustling and had a good reputation on the streets, so it wasn't hard for him to get back up. Fritz eventually linked up with his Medellin connect, whom he'd met while selling heroin for Queen Bee. Fritz then arranged for TJ to meet him near 111th Street. He had an urgent matter he needed to discuss, away from the block, away from prying eyes and big ears. He took TJ for a walk along Central Park North. Hey, yo, we getting ready to get paid, Fritz said. What you mean? TJ asked. I just got 15 keys of coke on consignment. 15? TJ repeated. He couldn't believe it. And I'm gonna give it away on consignment. TJ was speechless. Consignment was risky. What if his people ran off with the coke and left him owing? Fritz promised he knew what he was doing. Listen, I know just who to give it to. Don't worry, we're gonna be good. In the 80s, cocaine was everywhere, and a fortune could be made with the right connection. And that's the audio.
Cheapskate. No, I'm playing.
Who is that? Who is that narrating? Who is that narrating the audio book?
It sounded like War Brim.
I do
It's a
sound like war.
it's a no, it's a brother named Jeremy Michael Durham. He's a musician, but he also is a narrator. He does this for a living.
Yeah, he sound like a radio
He got the
show, like a
Allstate
radio
voice.
personality. Yeah, he got that voice.
Yeah, I hired him. They have a place called Black African American Market audio narrators, voiceovers, and I hired him through there. He's from Georgia.
Anybody got anything? Any questions? Anything? Anybody got somebody got something to
I'm just glad it wasn't a British dude narrating it.
say?
I got one question. On the
That
show, they
ass.
say, was the French Connection a black guy from French? Because on the show, that's what they show.
Y'all mess with Gangsta Lou?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know who he is. I know we didn't talk about him in the book, so I don't know.
Yeah, we
I
fuck with
want to
D.
know
Lou.
when is the movie coming out?
Well, you know, a movie takes, they said 36 months, at least 3 years to get made. So hopefully sooner than later.
Okay,
So
so
50 Cent, if you're hearing this,
they in talks of doing the movie then?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Are
Yeah,
they in
nah.
talks of doing
I
a?
asked. Yeah, for sure, bro. I asked that question earlier. I didn't know if you was here. They spoke on that. Yeah, definitely.
Okay,
Yep.
okay, my bad, my bad.
No, it's all good. Most definitely though. Yeah, they said that. Yeah,
No,
they
because
was
I'm
doing
looking
that.
forward to seeing it, man. I think that's gonna be real, real.
Yeah, me too. That's why I brought it up. It's a dope story. You know what I mean? That's definitely for the screen, for sure.
Shout out to my boy Ward Brim for being the A man on this. Appreciate you, big bro. For real. Anybody else got any questions? Anything the family want to add? Miss Sheila, you got anything you want to add?
Not at all. I'm getting ready to go to work. Thank you. Have a good one.
No
Thank
doubt.
you.
I, definitely, y'all. I definitely want to thank y'all for coming through, telling the stories. You know what I'm saying? That shit was lit. You got a lot of people interested now. You know what I'm saying? I hope it helps you, the family, and everybody, you know what I'm saying, to hear the story, make some money for the family and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? God bless y'all, sisters. I really appreciate y'all coming out. I really appreciate his daughter, Erin, coming out. Thank you so much. You ain't have to do that. Like you said, she don't even do social. She do Instagram though. Don't get that shit twisted. But she don't do Clubhouse. But she did come out. So I appreciate her. I appreciate everybody that's in the building, everybody that came through, everybody that was respectful. You know what I'm saying? I really, really appreciate y'all. That was a good look.